James Mathers for the Digital Cinema Society at NAB 2025. I'm here in the Laowa booth with Stephen Neff, and he's going to tell us about some new products. Stephen, you have so many new lenses coming out all the time. How are you going to pick what to tell me about?
So we're going to show you a couple. One of the first ones, anamorphic, right? I
love anamorphic.
I believe you're a bit of a fan of some anamorphic stuff. So the Laowa Proteus Anamorphic 2X squeeze, T2 Super 35 coverage. We've had that set slowly building out for a couple of years now. We do have that 20 millimeter that should be official by Cine Gear. But last month, we announced something new in that Proteus line, which is our zoom set. We've got a 26 to 45 and then the 45 to 85, matched to look like the prime set, but then you're just sacrificing one stop of light to go from a T2 down to a T2.9. But still amber flare, silver flare, blue flare available. And then again, yeah, matched to the primes, so being able to switch back and forth. And having a 2x squeeze anamorphic zoom, parfocal, it's pretty unique in its class.
So what's the sensor coverage of these lenses?
So this is a Super 35 coverage. It comes down to what your delivery is, right? A lot of people say, well, I have to deliver 16 by 9 no matter what. And I do have some people that do like running 16 by 9 2x squeeze and then cropping in off the sides. At that point you can do it. I do a lot of 2 to 1. On the 45 to 85, only at the really, really extreme on the 26 do I run into issues of a 2 to 1 on a full frame sensor. So it depends on your delivery. Officially it's a Super 35 coverage because that's, if you want your full cinescope stretch, it's a Super 35, not a full frame. But you can push it and fake it a bit.
But you do make a lot of lenses that are for large format, I know.
So last year, end of last year, we did launch the Laowa Nanomorph 1.5 squeeze full frame coverage, the Nanomorph LFs. Available silver, blue, and amber flares, T2.9 across the set. You've got an external flange back adjustment. So with anamorphic, you want to make sure the flange back is adjusted very precisely because you have to match the vertical focus and the horizontal focus. So if the flange back is off, you're never going to be in focus. So traditionally, you're taking the mount off, swapping shims. On this guy, you shim to do a gross adjustment, but then you can loosen the flange back here and do a fine tuning while it's mounted to the camera. And that's the key of not having to take it off the camera, put it back on to do that adjustment. You can just optically look in, see it, dial it down, lock it into place, and your flange is adjusted. So we have a Super 35 version of those, but then we just launched a set of primes in an LF version. So
these are so compact and lightweight.
Magic. So the mechanical design really mirrors our spherical zooms. So the Laowa Rangers, we have a set of the full frame and Super 35 parfocal cine zooms, and mechanically and housed very similar between the Proteus zoom and then also the Nanomorph zoom shares that same mechanical design on the inside. So it's, yeah, using some of the lessons learned in that other parfocal lens and then making it a little easier to adapt it into when you start pushing and adding those anamorphic optics.
The purchase price is also pretty skinny.
Yeah, so each lens here is going to be $6,000, and then you can get the set of 2 for $11,000, and that includes the case and you're running. So it's pretty cool. And again, I keep pushing. I'm a huge fan of the Proteus primes, and so having that matched look and being able to run a couple prime lenses and then have a zoom for more versatility, it's a good option.
Well, I know you got some other new lenses. What are you going to show us?
So we got to look at the probe zoom, right? Okay. That's the showstopper here. So we'll go over and take a look at the probe zoom, and we'll see a little macro dolly zoom.
Let's go.
All right.
So this is your probe zoom?
These are the probe zooms. So we've got 2 different focal lengths. You've got 15 to 24 and 15 to 35. The shorter focal throw is a T8. The 15 to 35 is a T12. So you do sacrifice a little more than the stop. In my opinion, that longer focal throw is worth it though, right? If nothing else, yes, getting a 15 millimeter ultra wide in that probe optic is really cool, but having the zoom throw and being able to do a dolly zoom in macro like we're showing here with that over 2x zoom range, the 24 millimeter, 15 to 24, it's nice to have options in the zoom, but having the full over 2x range makes a difference for those transition shots.
Well, there's some other probes on the market, but not too many zoom probes.
There's not too many zoom probes, right? So there's a handful of older things that you'd adapt into a zoom, but yeah, having the probe optic and having a zoom element there, it's kind of rare. There's and when the original Laowa probe launched 7 years ago, again, yeah, there were other probe type lenses in the market, but Laowa took it and really made it into a lens that had these features of 2-to-1 macro, that long probe transition, being able to get into weird little spots and get into different articulated spaces.
I see a lot of other lenses around the booth here. What are some of the other ones you're showing today?
We got a couple different sets. We've got our wide set, 9mm T5.9 rectilinear, right? So it's not a fisheye, but 9mm full frame coverage, and actually VistaVision, larger than full frame. Then we go up to the 10mm T2.9. Beautiful. This lens is a 0D. The 9mm rectilinear, but it doesn't get our 0D moniker. The 10 is that 0D. The one limitation on the 10 is that it doesn't come available in a PL mount. There is an LPL mount available for it, though, if you do need those cine mounts. Otherwise, all the mirrorless mounts are available. New version of the 12mm T2.9, a slight optical upgrade, and then it also goes into a little bit smaller housing. And then moving over from there, we've got a 14mm T2.6. This comes from a SLR style lens that we made a couple years ago, but really nice sharp optic in that ultra wide. Moving over one more, this is the same optic as the 10mm T2.9. This is our 10mm autofocus 2.8 lens. These are the cine shifts. We've got a 15mm and a 20mm. Huge image circle, right? The image circle on these guys, because you're shifting your sensor around inside of them, the full image circle will cover an Alexa 65 sensor. We have the Laowa Sword lenses, so that's our macro set. Starts 15, 25, and 35mm, all at 1-to-1. 60 and 100mm will go down to a 2-to-1, and then over there we've got that 180mm, 1.5-to-1 macro. Brand new optic for us in that 180mm. We've got our Ranger zooms, 75 to 180, 28 to 75, and 16 to 30. Not official yet over with those wides. We've got an 8 to 15mm fisheye. That's a little bit my baby. I'm really excited for. So yeah, a full frame fisheye cine zoom. Yeah, that's another piece that hasn't officially been announced, but we've been teasing it here and there.
A lot of unique products. Thank you, Stephen.
Absolutely. Mr. Mathers, thank you for stopping by.